Hi everybody, this is Kim from the Wayrider Chronicles. This will be number 5. Let's talk about Russia, and more specifically the West, or certain elements in Western civilization that lionize the Russian President Putin. Always been a bit of a mystery to me why anybody would want to do that, but hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion, as they say. Latest example of that is the ex-Fox News interview last week in Moscow by Tucker Carlson. You can say what you want about the interview, but it was basically a monologue. Anyway, this is not a critic of the interview or of misguided American TV news personalities. This is a take on what has happened over the years that Russian meddling, and especially meddling, wouldn't call it Russian, I mean that's not fair on the Russian people. Let's call it the Russian government meddling in different countries has produced. We can take, without even thinking about it, Syria, Arab Spring. Well, let's talk about Syria. There was a movement by the people of Syria to get rid of a brutal dictator who decided that it would be a good idea to keep him in place. Another dictator, Putin. Let's look at Central Africa. We have the I don't know what they call themselves these days, Wagner group that was basically an instrument, which would not be tolerated in the race, let's face it, come on. Mercenaries masquerading as foreign policy people. Yes, I know the CIA carried out many different types of operations, but on that scale and at that level, nah. Anyway, Niger, Central African Republic, do they really need those fragile economies and those fragile democracies, which are not even democracies in any shape or form, but at least some people try. Do they really need Russian outside, let's not call it even Russian, outside interference to prop up what? More bloodthirsty jihadist type rebels. And who stuck up for them? Putin again. The list just goes on and on. It just leaves me perplexed that there is this cult which says that everything to do with what is wrong, especially when we talk about Ukraine, is Zelensky's fault. That Putin knows. I mean, I've seen just yesterday a poll put forward by, let's call him a ex-influencer who has reasonable large following. He put up a poll who said, who knows which person tells the truth as far as Ukraine is concerned, Putin or the West? And 90% of the people for him say Putin. I mean, seriously? I mean, we don't even know what truth is here. We have an issue whereby one country invaded another country for whatever reasons, we don't know. I'm not really want to get into the reasons why Russia invaded Ukraine. But what is perplexing, and what is perhaps, I wouldn't even call it perplexing, which is disconcerting, is that the narrative put forward by the Russians that the West doesn't know what it's doing, and that Russia should, that Putin is the one who, or is the person who's actually telling the truth in this matter, is, to use a very well-worn English expression, a lot of bollocks. It's just ludicrous. I mean, I've always said since this invasion took place that yes, the Europeans woke up, and yes, there's a very good reason for that. That the Poles and the Germans actually know they do not want the equivalent of the Red Army raising a flag above the Brandenburg Gate once again, because that's what will happen. Because that's when you have brutal dictators, they don't see any limit to doing anything. They go about they keep on pushing and pushing and pushing, and until the other person actually gives in or doesn't. And at the moment, we're at an inflection point, I would call it, that for American political reasons, the funding to continue the war in Ukraine has been put on hold, or has been diverted by the American political process, which is not surprising because the American political process is so convoluted that something that will divert it, getting it diverted onto something else is par for the course, as they call it. I mean, yes, and the narrative has swung from Ukraine to the Israeli action in Palestine, and that is a completely different subject. That first of all swung it away from Ukraine and brought forth a groundswell of opinion that, rightly or wrongly, and again, this is not the subject of this particular video, but once again, we have a situation whereby the narrative put forward by the head of the Russian government has seduced a whole cross-section of the Western society, and he can do no wrong. I mean, guys, where are you getting your information from? Where do you think that these people would stop? Where do you think somebody like Putin would actually decide that, okay, enough is enough? Quite amazing. And that's all for now. See you guys.